Yeah, exactly. Nothing in the gate bias.
You could argue that yesterday said a great deal about how each of the two teams felt. After 3 days and 4 races completed, yesterday, Tuesday, was a reserve day. This team, Emirates Team New Zealand, kept their boat in the shed. Ineos Britannia went out and spent a few hours on the racecourse. This is of little surprise, of course. At this stage of the game, the British trail 4-0 to the Kiwis. Something needs to change if they're to break the Kiwi runner's success. As far as we can tell, the boats look pretty evenly matched, but it's starts and manoeuvres that seem to be the biggest difference. And this team is smoother, slicker and faster through their tacks in particular. So yesterday the British were out in around 15 knots of breeze, practicing manoeuvres. At least that's how it looked to us. Today's forecast is anything but certain. The most optimistic is in the low teens, but right now it looks way off that. Race director Ian Murray said this morning that there could be some slight delays before the breeze builds. On a day that's already filled with expectation, whether you're afloat or ashore, waiting for the breeze could raise the anxiety levels even more. Just try to be kind on your fingernails. The pressure on this team, Ineos Britannia, to deliver today is immense. We keep saying it, but it is. They're 4-0 down, they were out yesterday, they were practicing, they were training. We think they might have done something to actually help change their day for today, but the fact is, the pressure is on. And what makes it a little bit trickier today is when you look at the forecast, it is anything but certain. There are some forecasts that say 3 to 6 knots, there are some that say 6 to 15. It's going to be really tricky. Another stressful day. The light breeze was dancing around 6 to 8 knots, just enough to foil. To add to the pressure, the big swell meant that staying on the foils was crucial in the pre-start. Both teams knew this, but only one team achieved it, as Emirates Team New Zealand splashed down in a jibe 1.5 minutes before the start. Meanwhile, Ineos were A, making sure they stayed on their foils, and B, making it as hard as they could for the Kiwis to get back onto theirs. They did this by making 2 passes as close as possible to spill dirty air over Emirates Team New Zealand. By the time the Kiwis got back up and running, there was 1.5 kilometres between the 2 boats. But both teams knew no lead in these conditions would be enough. The British stayed on the foils, crossed the start line and made it through the tricky opening conditions to round the first gate 2 minutes and 15 seconds ahead of the Kiwis. By the bottom, the Kiwis had pulled back to just under 2 minutes, and by the top, 1 minute 37 seconds. The Kiwis were coming back. The breeze was increasing, but this was reducing some of the opportunities for the defenders, as it was less likely that the British were going to fall off the foils. Despite hauling some more distance back, it was too little too late, and Ineos Britannia crossed the line 1 minute 18 seconds ahead to take their first win of the series. This was a big win for Ineos, but this was also the first time a British yacht had won a race in an America's Cup match for 90 years. Back then it was Thomas Sopwith's J-Class Endeavour in the first of 2 wins against Rainbow in 1934.
Yeah, it's a good win for us, and tricky on the start. We sort of trained for those situations. We managed to make it stick and get the Kiwis off the foil, and obviously it's pretty tough for them from then on. But we did a good job to get the boat around the course. The guys did a nice job to sail the boat fast, and look forward to this next one.
It's important for the team, but take each race as it comes, and yeah, we're just focused now on the next race, and hopefully we can have another good one.
It's obviously always really frustrating to be off the foils. We made a little error being a tiny bit too late, but kind of just felt a bit unlucky with the way the phasing and puff worked, that they got so close and we just couldn't really accelerate enough to make their jibe in the dial down. But yeah, I mean that's sport. I'm looking forward to the next battle.
Yeah, it's definitely pretty light today. When we first got out here, we thought it was going to build quite a bit more, and then old Cloudsy gave us a call and said it doesn't look like it's going to come in as much as we expected. So yeah, switched back, and now yeah, it's a big choice to make. Right call for the jib for the next one, but boat looked like it was going pretty nicely once we got it off the line there. But yeah, it's one of those days where there's good breeze offshore, and it's just hard to know how quickly and how much is going to come into the course.
This was a really tight pre-match from the start. Initially, the Kiwis were doing the pushing from underneath and putting plenty of pressure on Ineos. They were controlling the game. But the British found the first escape route on the right-hand boundary where they wriggled free, but only just. Keeping the pace on in the run back to the line while not arriving too early was extremely tricky under the renewed pressure from the Kiwis. But in the end, they managed it and hit the pin end bang on time and doing 10 knots more than the Kiwis, who tacked off onto port. The first cross was tight, but it went to Ineos, as did the second cross, from where they pushed out to the port ley line to cross the Kiwis once more and take the first windward gate. From there, the team split, the British right, the Kiwis left. Ineos gained on the downwind initially, and then stretched out a few more metres to round the bottom gate 9 seconds ahead. From here, the distance stretched out gradually, until gradually the big change at the bottom of the third lap, where the Kiwis had halved the deficit to 7 seconds, and tightened the screws once again. But the British held their nerve on the last lap, and especially on the last downwind leg, to cross the line 7 seconds ahead of the Kiwis. This had been quite a day for the Brits.
Hey Matt,
That's
all
a
right?
better day, isn't it?
Yeah, a bit better.
So, new tricks, new setup, or just better conditions for you?
A bit of everything, I think. Yeah, certainly we managed to get out yesterday in some wavy conditions and figure out some setting changes. I think the team had done a great job trying to trawl through the data and figure out, if the Kiwis had got some gains where they might be and how we could sort of counter that. And then I think, executed well on the water. So it's always a big team effort.
Which was more nerve-wracking, the first race, trying to keep the boat on the foils, or the second race, when being chased by them with 7 seconds behind you?
Yeah, good question. Certainly the first race wasn't a given, because it was very easy to come off the foils in those light airs and big sea state. But yeah, second race, that was, great, fantastic race, and, they kept the pressure on. It was tight the whole way round, and, boys did a fantastic job to keep calm under the pressure and get it across the line in the lead.
And presumably you take the most out of that second race, I guess, because that really put you under pressure.
Yeah, I think so. It was interesting with slightly different conditions, slightly more sea state around. The performance seemed more even to me. Again, I need to have a look at the numbers, but yeah, that was interesting. So some tweaks that we've made, I think, have helped us, but they're still incredibly fast and tough to beat. We know that, so a long way to go, but we've got to ride this momentum now. That's the trick for us.
One of the things that's been really difficult to see so far has been to see you in clear air. Do you now feel more confident that the boats are actually much, much similar in performance? Are you able to see that as a result of today?
Yeah, possibly. As I said, it's a different day, different conditions today, much more sea state around than the other days, and I think that did play its part. And yeah, trick for us is just trying to find more performance. The faster we can make the boat go, the easier our life's going to be if we can get in the lead. So let's focus on that.
Bledin, let's start with that first race. What happened there when they fell off the foils?
Yeah, obviously that first race was quite light, especially down in the start box. And yeah, Team New Zealand entered a little bit late and a little bit slow, and we were able to be in a position where we could pick them up on that first interaction. Obviously they went for a jibe to keep clear, and they obviously managed to fall off the foils at that point, and we ended up in our gas. And from that point onwards for us, it was just a case of keep the boat on its foils. We were fortunate enough then to be able to pull off a tack and come back across their face and give them a bit more dirty air and just make life hard for them really there. And that kind of gave us the chance to extend away with a good lead.
What was confusing for us when we were watching it was that when they put their jibe in, they seemed to be across your bow anyway, and it seemed to be heading out towards the left-hand side.
Yeah, I mean, I think they were obviously concerned about being picked up in an incident there in a collision and kind of avoiding that. So, yeah, obviously slipped up the manoeuvre a little bit and ended up kind of dead in the water there. So, yeah, we kind of the important thing from that point for us was to capitalise on that and a great opportunity to get a good lead.
How nerve-wracking was it, knowing that you had to keep the boat on the foils, at least for the first half of that race until the breeze picked up?
Yeah, I mean, it was light conditions. We'd had a bit of a warm-up. It was kind of the breeze was quite fickle, but we managed to get a little bit of a warm-up before that race, and were able to kind of work on some of our techniques in that. So I think we felt pretty confident in that breeze that we could keep it on its toes. So yeah, great day for us, and looking forward to improving even further.
Moving on to race 2. Yesterday, as we know, you were out there testing. What was the biggest benefit from yesterday? I'll put it another way. What was the biggest thing about today? Was it you liked those kind of conditions? Was it the practicing and testing you did yesterday, or was it something you changed on the boat?
Yeah, I mean, the conditions today were quite challenging. The waves were quite confused and relatively big, especially for that wind speed. We had kind of similar kind of conditions yesterday, although the breeze was kind of a good chunk stronger. So yeah, for us, I think we like those conditions. We kind of thrive on that kind of challenging, kind of hard sea state. And obviously we had 2 good starts, which really kind of gets you in a good spot and being able to control from there. So yeah, I think we're looking forward to more of that hopefully to come. But yeah, we still think there's a lot to come out of this boat.
And it must be nice to have been pushed, in a strange way, to be pushed so close to only finish 7 seconds ahead. That must give you a lot of confidence.
Yeah, obviously the second race got tight at times. I think there's definitely room still for improvement for us. Kind of a few areas for sure that we'd already look back on and say could have done a little better job there. So yeah, looking forward to having a look at that this evening and tomorrow, and coming out stronger on Friday.
We've been saying the whole time, like, starting's critical in this America's Cup, and if you start well, it makes your life so much easier. And you know, one race today we gave up minutes, and the other one we gave up a couple of metres, and it's quite hard to get back into it. But you know, overall we're pretty happy that we're able to keep that second race super close the whole way around and push Ben and the team right to the very end. And you know, I think there's going to be a lot more of that coming up.
Talk us through that first start.
Well, it was a bit of a known goal by us, to be honest. The pre-start didn't last very long from our point of view. We got a little early on our timings, and then we just got caught on the back of a couple of real nasty set waves where in those light winds, we couldn't build over. Probably a bit guilty of trying to go too deep too early. We should have just got some speed, and you know, if we didn't cross them, probably figure it out from there. But yeah, coming off the foils is the worst case scenario there, and yeah, that's not good enough from our side of things. So it was a bit disappointing, but from there, you know, we got up and going, got into our rhythm on that race, which you know, that settles things. And although you're quite far behind and really unlikely to pass, the team was in good space, the boat felt good, and that, you know, set us up nicely for that second race.
In the pre-start bit, you seem to have crossed the Brits already and then went into a jibe. I was quite surprised to see you heading out towards the left-hand side of the course. I mean, that's traditionally not where we see you guys go.
On the
pre-start in the first race, yeah.
Yeah, we were still quite low speed at that time. So obviously we'll review. You know, there's a little bit of you know, apprehension from us because they were coming with a lot more speed, whether we would have crossed, and they would have had a lot more ability to coast down. I think whether we would have got caught on a port starboard or not, but that was where that was why we thought
because they did appear to come up actually from there. Okay, I got you. Yes. Right, okay. But you hauled a minute out of that. I mean, it's still quite a big deficit at the end, but you hauled a minute out. I mean, that's something to take out of it, I guess.
Yeah, I could say that they were getting bigger on the horizon, albeit. But yeah, the boat felt good. We were sailing it nicely. And then, yeah, we went into that second race with confidence, but obviously made another mistake in there where we had them in a compromised position and let them off the hook. So, yeah, you can't do that. You got to, even if you've got the upper hand, you got to keep it that way and make sure you pull off the finer details right till the end of that pre-start.
What we seem to keep seeing each time is that, two things really. One is you can take distance out of people if you're behind, but getting past is really difficult. And when you do get close, then your tactics are all dictated to you, and it's that much harder. And it looks like it's easier to appear to be making mistakes and finding it more difficult to get around mark roundings. Is that how it feels in that position?
Yeah, it's certainly difficult to to get back in or to pass. Like you say, you can get back into the race, but it's how you make that next pass. But no, I thought we were starting to get there. We just needed to, a couple of things to go away. But the boat felt good. It was tacking nicely, and we were positioning it quite well. But we just probably, I think, we'll look back. But I think in about the second or third lap, we made a bit of a mistake, which gave them a pretty good lead. But apart from that one, we were sailing quite nicely and keeping it tight. But just need to figure out if we do end up in that situation again, how do we make the pass? But got full belief in the crew and in the boat, that's for sure.
And finally, the sea state was clearly really tricky today, offset from the breeze and the rest of it. Lots of talk about Britannia being much happier in that kind of sea state, but are you guys happy in that kind of sea state, or do you feel it a bit of a disadvantage?
No, I'm not sure where that started. Maybe they started it from their side to try and build some confidence back, but if that's what they want to do, then go for it. No, our boat feels beauty in that. The way if we do touch the waves, it's pretty minimal drag on the hull, and our foils feel pretty nice in that stuff. So we were tuned up quite nicely going into that first race. Obviously, it's what makes an own goal like that even more disappointing. But the boat felt good all day, and as a flight controller, I personally love those conditions. It's more challenging, and that's more fun for me.
So the question that's being asked now is this the day that changes the course of the 37th America's Cup? This might be a little presumptuous, but with 2 wins on the scoreboard, the British have signalled a comeback. There's talk of momentum once again, and as you would imagine, there's a buzz around the Brits. They've also matched Endeavour's results of 1934, and this has left British supporters daring to dream. Tomorrow is a reserve day, and given how important yesterday seems to have been, you might be wondering who will go out tomorrow. Conditions look like being in the mid-teens. Ben Ainsley seemed very up for it. The Kiwis less inclined to say. Whatever happens, we'll let you know. See you then.